It's because of the curses. We are in these curses. Our people have been suffering in the fields. We've been segregated. We've been through racism. All of this just because of the curses. Because Israel is too disobedient. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Of interview with me, Brother Mesa, Truth Teller. Yo, welcome in, family. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. I hope everybody is doing well. And welcome to In the View Live. As we know, tonight we are doing an open mic forum. Okay? So, as many as well, you can call in if you wish to do so. Our number is 647-394-3308, or you can call 647-394-6308, or you can comment and we will respond to your comment. But tonight's open mic, we want to just talk a bit about what's going on in the world, because we are seeing some signs and some things that are happening, and it's bewildering to us, because many of us, we have never seen the likes of the things that are going on in the world today. You know, just about 2 weeks ago, we saw an open daylight public assassination of two of the so-called Jews somewhere down there in, I think it was the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C., if I'm not remiss. Okay? And that is something that is disturbing to the world, especially to the Jewish community, you know, and I use the term loosely, not being a so-called racist or what's the other word? Prejudice. But we say so-called Jewish community because, you know, those of you who are in what we call the prescribed truth, you know what I'm talking about. But for those of you who are undiscerning, yeah, that is who we call a certain set of people, the so-called Jews. Okay? Yeah, and as I said, there are so many things taking place in the world, man. We are looking at a time of, you know, what they call it, unprecedented amount of wildfires that are taking place all across the Americas. And one view that I have, that I find that people, especially people in this Western Hemisphere, they use the term America to represent that one nation, of people, when in actuality, America is a three-continent nation, okay? Because you have the South America, you have the North America, and you have, what's it called? Sorry, I misspoke. Not a three-continent nation. It's a two-continent, but three-country nation. All right? And again, I misspoke. But anyhow, you know, like I say, I'm not a learned scholar. I like to talk, that's what I do, but most times I speak out of my head without thinking. But what I'm trying to say is we often have this interpretation of just calling the United States America when America is a broad palatial of different land masses. And when I say a broad palatial of different land masses, I mean you have South America, as I said, which encompasses many different countries. Okay, then you have North America, which encompasses two countries. Okay, which would be the United States of America and Canada. And I said all that to say that people oftentimes forget about Canada when they say America. Everybody's mind pinpoints to one country in particular when they hear the word America. They think about the United States of America, okay? When in fact, Canada, which is a bordering nation country, just next to the United States of America, who inhabits the same people on both sides of the border. Okay, they have the same ideologies. Okay, they have the same principles. Mind you, Canada may say, well, okay, we differ from the US. The US may say they differ from Canada. But, when it all boils down to it, Canada and the United States are one people. They may not have the same exact mindset, but they are one people. Okay? And as I said, I'm ranting on from what I wanted to say, but uh, I say that to say the Americas are on fire. Okay? And so I made that point so that you can understand where I'm going with what I'm saying. The Americas are on fire because we have a vast amount of wildfires that are burning free in Canada. And it's not just today, it's not just this year, it's every year. Okay, every year this happens. All right, excuse me, Saints, while I change this thing. I always don't know why this comes up like this. Hmm. What is this saying now? Shalom, Israel Mosai, please like and share the stream and be sure to follow us on our other platforms. Facebook, Yahya, website, Cross and Free Spirit, the last Shaman of God. Okay, I thought that was the other thing that we have that always pops up because, like I say, I'm not highly educated and I'm not too technically inclined. So I'm just a mere regular man, an average everyday Joe. Okay? Yeah, so back to what I was saying. These fires are not uncommon. These have been happening for, I don't know, for the past maybe 30, 40 or more years, because Canada experiences this um, heat spell, this drought causes um, what they call it, the trees, the forest, and all of those like to get overheated and ignite. And the fires are so hot that they spread and they run through miles and miles and acres of land, burning any and everything that stands in its way. And the problem is that the land mass is so big that they cannot deploy enough manpower or machinery or tools that can control the fire. Okay, so what they do is they try to control the path of the burn. And this is in Canada, I'm speaking, mind you. I'm not speaking solely to just America. I'm speaking Canada because America has its own share of situations and means and ways that they control their wildfires. when in fact both countries are unable to control the wildfires, but they try to curb and control it as best they can by way of, giving it free burn, but again, controlling the path in which and where it goes. But that is just one take of the issues and problems that's taking place around us. Okay. And as I say, tonight is a free open mic night. Anyone who is wishing to call, let me put the number in the so that we can. Where are you? Where are you? Why can't I find this? You see why I always experience these issues. Yep, it's not letting me. Let me see. Anyhow, I'll put it in directly in here so that we can. Oh, is it there already? Let me see. Bum, 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 bum. What can our leaders do to change things? No, it's not there. So I will add it. I will add it. Okay. Call in 467-394-3378 or drop your comments and we will respond. Yep, so I added it in. So hopefully, if anybody, whomever wants to call in, please feel free. We'd like to hear your opinions, all right, and your thoughts on things. Let me go to Facebook and let me adjust this. So that any viewers who are viewing what have a means to give us a call if they wish to do. Okay. So bear with me as I work on that. And as always, I hope that each and every one of you had a blessed day. All right, where is it? I tell you, where are those comments? How do I get it? Yes, here we are. All right, please like and share. All right, edit. There's a YouTube, PLIG. Okay. Oh my goodness, what happened? It says edit, but it moved. TLIG. Called in for Sorry, not 4 647 394 3308, or drop your comment and we will respond. Okay, so yeah, that should do it. Let's see. Yes. Alrighty. So let's get back to it. Yeah, and so as I was saying, a lot of the things that are happening, so many people around us are baffled. They're trying to understand what is taking place. Like I said, we have never seen the likes of these things. Murders are rampant, sexual crimes against brothers and sisters are rampant, infant mortality rates are high. What do you call it? What do you call abortion rates have skyrocketed, even though you see in the Americas, primarily Canada and the United States, it is divided because the women's liberal, they say okay, they have control over their body, they have the right to choose to have an abortion, and we call that committing murder. Okay, and then others say it should not happen. All right, all praises to them for that. It should not happen, but the governments are giving divide to both sides, just like Solomon did when he split or when he decreed the baby to be split in half. Okay, the government is splitting it down the line. Okay, it gives women the right to have abortions, and then it gives them the right to speak out against having abortions. Because if you say it's your right and it's your body, and the government decrees a law and says, okay, yeah, let her do it, who's supposed to stand against that? In its face of immorality, in this sin, in this murder, right? And so, just as I said that, you have other factions, other parties, and tons of women who fight against that and appeal to the government to make laws to stop. Because remember, I think maybe about 3 months or 4 months ago, the government put a stop to it. And when I say the government, I mean the government of the United States and in the body of Donald Trump. They put a stop. And so, it's one big hullabaloo going on with the court system and, with both sides fighting. They want, the other side fighting, they do not want. And, it's just a bunch of nonsense. Let's put it like that. Because it is plain, clear, cut, and seen murder. You are killing a blessing that the Most High God has bestowed to you, and not just you. You don't know the impact that that child will have in the lives of many other people. All right, and you are circumventing the will and the plan of the Most High God. And when I say you, I'm speaking to the women and a lot of sisters primarily who believe in that murderous act. All right, and that's just again one of the things that is hyped up and becoming rampant in the world. All right, and so we have a lot of things happening. As I said, we said the wildfires, we said murders, crime in general is happening. And most of the crime taking place as the face of the media, which is controlled by who, right? We often only see. people of color being the criminals represented in media. When it comes to crime, the first face you always see splashed in the media is either that of a Latino, a Hispanic, or a so-called black man. All right, that is what we often always see. Now, these comments, where is those comments? Let me put that down. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and so as I was saying, we often are only given the view that the so-called people of color are the criminal in our society. Okay, when in fact, we look at uh, mass shootings, look at suicidal killings, we look at uh, assassinations, and the things of the like. It is oftentimes and most predominantly the Caucasians that do these acts. Okay? When you look at, let's make an example, a so-called black man kills another brother. All right, he takes the life of one. Okay, whatever the reason, in the heat of the argument, in the heat of the argument, over money, over drugs, whatever the reason, he took a life. He committed sin. He murdered. All right? But let's weigh that on the scale when we talk about the crime leader. Let's look at a Caucasian who goes into any public place indiscriminately, brandishing a weapon, fires 1,000 bullets, all within 5 minutes. Okay? And these individuals they go to schools, they go to malls, they go to movie theaters, wherever. But whenever that demon spirit comes on them and wherever it tells them they go, oftentimes it will be connected or linked to emotion, someone or some people may have been some people, either them, a family member, or whatever the reason, and they exact revenge not on one, but on every and anybody that is around at the time they feel like they want to exact their revenge. Okay? They open fire with their weapons. Now, as we're seeing a lot of these vehicle murders or atrocities, okay, from the past uh, year or two, we've had two of them taking place in Europe. We've had multiple of them taking place in North America, in the United States and Canada. So many devastating atrocities taking place. I won't even talk about the natural disasters. All right. And, the world calls them natural disasters and catastrophes, when in fact they are the act and the will of the Most High God, His judgment and His punishment. Okay. It's happening all throughout the world. Okay. We have mudslides, we have floods, we have earthquakes, we have tornadoes, we have hurricanes, we have volcanic eruptions, snowstorms, we have droughts, we have heat, all my things, whatever the most he wants at his disposal to use, he puts it to work. Okay? And just look at it. Advanced as the world is, as technically advanced as the Americas are, and the other Caucasian races throughout the world, as advanced as they are, why is it that they cannot find a means to end hunger, which they say is prevalent in the world, starvation, which they say is prevalent, especially in the so-called underdeveloped nations? Okay, why can't they eradicate droughts? Why can't they stop All these wildfires, the heat, can't they stop? They say the polar ice caps are melting. What is the use of you and your pride and your boastfulness and your blasphemy if you cannot thwart the power of the Most High God? Huh? You say your science is God, your science answers every question, your science fixes every situation and problem. So why can't you fix the issues that are plaguing the world? And that is a good question. Why can't they fix the issues that are plaguing the world? Because their power is limited, their knowledge is limited. Okay? They're not connected with the source of power, they're not connected with the source of knowledge. Their might rules supreme. Their pride overshadow. They don't listen to reason. They don't want good counsel because their works are the end result that are causing these problems in the world. Tell you about carbon and pollution. They're the ones who created all of their big factories, all of their big oilers, their what do you call those things, nuclear plants, all of these things. And again, who primarily owns them? Which countries are they found in? Not third world countries, or so-called third world countries, but in the big, technically advanced first world nations, which are uh, most populated by Edomites, Caucasians, the rich elites. Who owns them? Okay? So all of these things that are taking place, they're all stemming from one set of people. And why? Because it's as we said, they control the earth, they have the money, they have the resources, they have the power, and most times some of them have some uh, I wouldn't call it knowledge, I would call it mm, some gift, okay, some gift understanding, okay. Through Satan, they have been given knowledge to understand certain things, all right. Not a blessing of the Most High, because the Most High will not give us the power to destroy His creation. That is reserved in His hands. Okay? But like I say, the so called white man has the knowledge that they are well crafted to build, to manipulate, to create, and they can design, they can invent. You know, lots of times we say, okay, they steal our ideas from our brothers and sisters, from our ancestors. Oftentimes, I don't want you to sleep. They are very, very uh, inventful. They can invent because look at the weapons of mass destruction that they design and they use to put fear and incite uh, um, humility in the world. Do you think that you and I would dream of designing these type of things? No, no. That is in their hands. They have the power. And that's what the spirit is all about. Okay, warfare, anger, okay, killing, murder, all right, oppression, destruction. This is what they are built for. This is what they thrive on. All right. So that is an aspect right there that we're talking about when it comes to crime, They supply and make the majority of the weapons that are circulated around the world. When you firearms, as you can see that you get handguns, you have battlefield guns, you have uh, personal protective guns, um, grenades, rocket launchers, tanks, jets, ships, even there are drones and satellites. Okay, everybody says, "Oh, Israel is so technically advanced. Israel, some of the smartest inventors in the world." Yes, at whose behest? Because we know they are gifted by the United States of America. Every year, I think they gift them somewhere in the range of maybe $3 to $5 billion. And why is that? From my knowledge, they don't produce anything. They don't supply anything, not to America, but they get all of the ammunition, all of the machinery, all of the financial support. Okay, they have what they call the Iron Dome, and I hear now Donald Trump is speaking about putting up this Iron Dome over the Americas. He says Canada wants to be part. All right, and what's the purpose of this Iron? Because they feel that the threat coming. They have surmised the likelihood of a threat coming. Nuclear, okay? Not just any simple type of threat. Nuclear. But the surprise is going to be on them because the problem lies within. They're looking without. The problem lies within. So the world is going to get a wake up call soon. All of these signs that we see taking place in the world are all prophesied and meant to be for our guide, for our understanding, for our reason, right? That's the purpose of it. But a lot of us are still asleep. So many of us are caught up in the American dream. We do not understand or look for the signs. We have civil unrest all over America. And again, as I said, we do see the truth as the truth is taking place right before our eyes. Things that are happening are hidden from us. Because again, who controls the media? Just as they who control industry, they who control food, they who control resources, they control the media. Every television station, every movie theater, every movie maker, every radio station, every TV network channel, every cable network broadcasting, they own them all. Every telephone, all forms of media and communication, every magazine, all publishing houses, they own it all. I wouldn't talk about the music industry. Oh my goodness. Look at Brother Diddy. Look at they put away R. Kelly. So many of our brothers and sisters who they have trampled on, who they used for years, and after they have become no longer useful or make a mistake or about to be uh, shown to the world before they are able to call names, they put a clamp on them, destroy them. That's the power of the media. That's the power of the media. The media made them, and the media destroyed them because so many people believe everything that is presented them on the television screen. I once was the same way. Everything I watched from the Western news station, I believe. Everything I watched on the Western movie screen, I believe. But I once learned from a wise man. He said, if you want the truth, go and listen and watch the international news stations. And that's what I started doing. And when I started seeing the truth as it is, hearing the truth as it is, not being spoon fed lies and hypocrisies by a nation that is trying to cover up their wicked, dirty ways and deeds. But hearing, okay, and the reality of the things as they are, okay? And again, it all stems back to the Edomite, all right? And then within all of that, we also have, like we say, issues that are plaguing our homes. Because when we look at the way the world is designed, especially with our women, most countries in the world, we have what we call a measure of control. And when I say a measure of control, not meaning that we control women, but we have a system in place where each individual falls into a specific category, but not so in the United States of America or in Canada. The powers that be manipulate and fashion laws to accommodate women to be disobedient, disrespectful, and emasculate other men. And say other men because they give women the power and authority to become men, not just in character, not just in physicality. All right? These things are not seen, not done, not even heard of outside of countries. Well, let me retract that. These things were not seen, not heard of outside of the Americas. Some would be about 50 years. It would have been shocking to hear women stand up to men, to hear women fight men, to see women walking around dressed like men with pants hanging down, hair, what do they call it? What do they call it? Thing? Colored uh, earrings all up in their nose, their navel. The women are going mad. And where did they get that spirit from? This wicked Edomite system which controls the world, which gives them authority to be what they want, do what they want, see what they want, come as they want, go as they want. Okay? And with that, it all stems back to the home. Because now when you give these women authority to know that the law is behind them, that they can be what they want, that they can have multiple partners, men and women, that they can abort their children, that they can go and get what they call in vitro. impregnation, whatever that is. They can stand up to the man when the man tells them. They can pick up the phone and make lies and allegations against a man to be arrested. That you can say that a man is the father of your child, and he is not, and he is held liable to take care of a child. That you can divorce a man and take away his livelihood. Okay, all of these things, the laws of these lands empower women to do. And to what avail? To destroy the men. That is all it is. Upset the balance of the world. Defy the will of the Most High God. That's what they try. But they're not correct. Because just how you try to empower them to destroy, the Most High empowers them to be destroyed. And when I say be destroyed, it's through righteousness. Because not everybody is going to be a victim. Okay? Not everybody's going to fall because you have brothers who are like-minded as myself in this truth. We try our best to educate our sisters, to revert their minds from these corrupted, polluted uh, entities and thought programmed to believe. Okay, then you have sisters out there, they are waking up in this truth, learning who they are, the way they're supposed to be, what is their purpose, okay? And they walk away from the lies that they've been programmed to believe. There are other sisters out there who are stepping to the forefront and fighting the good fight in righteous works. You know, speaking out against abortions, speaking out about mass incarceration of our brothers and other things of the like, speaking out about the homes and the way the homes are being infiltrated and destroyed. That's the works of the Most High. Okay, and don't get me started on the other thing I just mentioned when I talk about the prison. No nation in the world, none, has a system of incarceration where you employ forcefully your, I'll call them citizens, because they live there. They're subject to their laws. So they're citizens of those, uh, I don't want to call them prisons, I don't want to call them jails. It's a good word. Anyhow, they are prisoners of those institutions and become citizens because many of our brothers and sisters, as I said earlier, when it comes to crime, it is always the illusion that the people of color are the most criminalized category of race on the planet. And they make it evident in the way they fashion their laws to entrap us, the way they deploy their armed forces and police forces to oppress us. If you go and you take a tour of any prison, any country, sorry, in any state of the United States or any province in Canada, if you have one Edomite, you have maybe 10 people of color. And out of that 10 people of color, 7 are so-called black man. Why? It's not only because they commit crimes. Most times they framed. Other times they just what they call push through the system. Other times the laws are just made to, like I say, entrap them. Because look at America. They have what they employ, and it's called a three strike system. Okay? If you have committed what they call, is it, what's the word? Capital offenses. You've been convicted 3 times. You've been to prison 3 times. I think that's how it goes, but I know it's a 3 strike system. So once you have 3 strikes against you, you are liable to go to prison for the rest of your life. And the staggering thing of the matter is, I've seen some injustice that was taking place over and over again. Like, for example, the other day I was reading about these 2 individuals. Okay? One individual was a so called white man, the other individual was a so called black man. They both committed the same crime. And what was the crime? Robbery with a weapon, aggravated armed robbery. That's what I think they called it. Okay? They both were in the teens. I think they were maybe 19, 20, thereabouts. And the injustice that I'm speaking about, that young black brother, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison. That white Edomite, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Why? When they both committed the same crime, none used more violence than the other. None have criminal records for aggravation, for assault, for causing harm, or violence. Just robbery using a weapon. But it speaks to the injustice that system employs when it comes to people of color. Not only that, just the day I was reading again of this brother, he was sentenced to, I think it was 200 years imprisonment. 200 years imprisonment. Can you imagine that? So, well, at the time, it was not known that it was not a wrongful that it was an innocent man. Let's put it like that. He did not commit the crime. Because if I say wrongful evidence, he played a part in the death of someone when in fact he never did. He was excused and prepared because the systems fashioned against the people of color, the system just bypassed him and pushed him right through. He got sentenced to, if I'm not mistaken, 200 years. Okay? And all through the Most High will. All praises. This brother was released. I think this was in 2020, he was released after serving uh, 30 years, I believe, 30 years in prison, because he went in when he was in his 20s. He came out when he was 60 something, I think. Can you imagine that? All because the family never gave up on him. Some righteous person or people kept praying for him. The Most High God sustained him and found grace and mercy to free him. And the same vehicle that put him in prison is the same vehicle that is him and going out. But that's not the kicker. I can say after 30 years of his life would have been wasted sitting down, knowing you are a free, sorry, an innocent individual. Nobody and nobody wants to hear you, right? Powers that be turned around and said, listen, so sorry for what we did here wrong. We give you this money, okay? The justice system said we need to award him X amount of millions of dollars. But the same wicked, deceitful, corrupted Edomites turn around and block the brother from getting the money. The time they released them and made that claim to give him this money, the government has been blocking him and fighting not to give him this money. From 2020 to now 2025, he hasn't been out of prison and still not received not one dime, not a dime from that restitution. Can you believe that? After you imprisoned this innocent man from young youth, took away 30 or more years, now he comes out of jail, old, washed up man, can't do nothing with himself because even though they overturned his conviction, they set him free. You best believe there are people out there in the public who still holds him guilty, still believes he's guilty, that he murdered someone. Hmm. You don't care how you cannot change their mindset. Okay? You cannot change their mindset. And as I say, they do not want to pay this brother this restitution for the actual crime that happened, which is them taking away his life, imprisoning him. All right. So these are just some, as I said, some of the things that are happening around us in our communities in the world, facing us as the so-called people of color. And the next problem that we have or that we see is our own brothers and sisters who fight us down. Okay? And I'm not just talking about the so called black man, I'm talking about the other people of color. It took heaven and hell and high water for Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, who else? What's the other? Well, it took heaven, hell, and high water for all these Latinos and Hispanics to understand that they are people of color. They always thought themselves to be Caucasian. They always thought themselves to be one of the what they call themselves, the superior people, never realizing that they were looked down upon, scorned, ridiculed, and even hated by the people who they loved so much, the people who they wanted to be, the people who they wanted to live amongst, always hated their own brothers and sisters, not realizing that we are one people. But you see what happened. And this is not the first time, but this time was the worst time because they got used, they got embarrassed, they got kicked in the butt. They all went sympathetically uniting. They're voting for Trump. We voting for Trump. We vote because they thought they were one of the people. They really thought they were one of the people. And the people I'm talking about, the Edomites. They always hated being seen as not inferior, but as second class, as a what do they ask you? Are you a recognized I forget that term. Anyhow, yeah, they just hated being seen as a people of color. They hate that term. They don't want to be recognized as that. All right. They feel so strongly that they are a so-called white individual. They've always loved the white man, always wanted to eat from his plate, always wanted to clean his yard, always wanted to empty his garbage, always wanted to clean his windows. The Latinos and Hispanics in this Western hemisphere, they love the Edomite because they represent themselves to be as them. And it's not their fault primarily. Okay? It's not their fault primarily. But that is something that we face as a people again. Because look at it, as I said, they rallied themselves together and they voted for Donald Trump. They thought Trump would have recognized them and heralded them and seen them as one of the people. But no, they got a surprise. After the election, I saw so many of them on television crying, "Oh, why is this happening to us? I can't believe this. This isn't America. Oh, this isn't what we voted for." Because you're silly. You old fool. You should have known what would have happened because you thought just like how they had the houseboy, the massa would have greeted you and smiled with you and took you in. No, you're an idiot. And that's what they made you out to be, an idiot, because you got used. And look at what you're going through today. Mass incarceration, rejection, deportation, alienation, criminalization. All of these things are happening. And the big thing about it is not happening to the black man because the black man has an estate in America. That's the thing. When the Latinos and Hispanics, they don't have an estate in America. Ain't that something? The very people you despise, they have more in common with the people that you love than you have. So I know that hurts you. That eats right at your very core. But the Most High forgives you, and your brothers and sisters forgive you because you did not know the wrong you were doing. It was not your fault. But it took Donald Trump to wake you. I won't even call you brothers and sisters because some of you are not brothers and sisters because you don't love your brothers and sisters. But it took Donald Trump to wake you all up for you all to see who you all are, for you all to understand how you are seeing in their eyes, for you to know what they think of you. Okay? And those are just some of the problems that we are facing at home. All right? And so let's look at the world as a broad spectrum. You see what's going on with the war in Ukraine. All right? That is a sparking point for things to come. And that goes deep. All right? And when I say it goes deep, it goes far, far reaching into a lot of different things that will stem from that. because you see what it plays with. It plays with the EU system. It plays with trade. It plays with tradition, family orientation, power. It plays with what do you call it? What's that word that we use? Land control. All right, so many things are tied up in that one little war. That one little war that's taking place right there in Ukraine. And out of that is going to stem so much different things that are going to shock the world. Because the American puppet, Vladimir Zelensky, he can't believe how they are putting foot on his backside. Because if you remember, they supplanted him in there and used him at their means against Russia. And now look at the way they're treating him. I mean, Donald Trump had the man in the White House on live international television and spoke to him as if he was a child, not as a counterpart, as a child, and told him, lick these boots. If you want us to do whatever you want us to do, you have to lick these boots. And sure enough, he licked those boots, and still he didn't get what he was expecting to get. I see the news says, well, again, like Donald Trump says, the fake news. The fake news says they held back some support that they were supposed to send over there to him. Okay? And he's all over the world crying to everybody, oh, daddy doesn't like me anymore. Oh, daddy locked me out of the house. Oh, daddy don't want to feed me anymore. Anyone that would open their door to him and listen. Because remember, earlier on in the war, America was giving them billions of dollars, numerous arms and ammunition. Okay, all kind of technical, aerial, and sea support, everything. And then all of a sudden, it all just dwindled down, dwindled away, dwindled away. Why? Because, as I say, he's a puppet. You no longer serve a purpose. You were only used to get us into the door. And which door is that? Into the Kremlin. Because albeit in fact hardly anybody knows, Donald Trump and what's his name, the president of Russia, they are good friends, whether you believe it or not. They are good friends. But diplomacy, strategy, and what's that word? Commerce dictates that certain things must be upheld and done. Because Putin is not going to bow to America, and America cannot force him to. All right? They cannot force him to. And this is a part of the reason why you see they want to put up this Iron Dome. Because they fear Russia. Believe it or not, yes, the United States fears Russia. Because they know the capability and the reasoning that he has. Putin is not one to be joked with. He is the same as you see Donald Trump is, not afraid to show his might and use his power. And as I told a lot of people earlier on in this war, Putin could have ended this war in a day. But no, just as I said, it is traditional ties, it's family, and it's geography. Why destroy something that you want? Why kill your own people? Okay, and that is spiritual also. These things are meant to happen. This war is meant to be liger and stagnate on until certain points are ignited to bring about necessary things that are supposed to take place. Okay? And around the same neighborhood, look at the EU. At the same time, they're putting pressure on America. No more ties. They're becoming ally with other nations, trying to topple the American dollar, the American economy. Because why? The United States doesn't want to play fair. Look at what Donald Trump is doing right now. He's like a baby in a candy store with a sticker. He's putting a stamp on a sticker on everything. Tariff, 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 tariff on everything and every country. That man is a maniac. He is a maniac. And who can control him? It's like the Bible says in Revelations 18. Who can control him? Boastful, full of pride, because he knows he has the power. Nobody can stop him. But again, remember, they know the word of God. They can see the signs. That's why the Most High say he's going to blind their wise men. Okay? Because they believe that they are so smart. But they don't see, just like the Bible says, where the enemy is. They think the enemy is outside of their country, around the world, when all the time the enemy is right in their nation, right in their country, asleep. And when I say asleep, not asleep to the fact that they don't know what to do, asleep to the fact that they are waiting for the whistle to be blown and the time to act. All right, so no Iron Dome is going to protect them. That's going to topple the Iron Dome, and then the real problems are going to start, because they're going to see an explosion over here, explosion over there, this thing happening over here, that thing happening over there, all the water shutting off, the water was poisoned. All right, so many things are going to happen. The world is in for a big shock. The world is in for a big shock unless the Lord stay his hand and hold back from doing his mighty works. That's why the Bible says, come out of my people. Be not partaking in the unrighteous abominations of that nation. And you can take it as you want, as literal, meaning you're going to leave, but where are you going to go? But in my sense, I take it spiritual, meaning stop believing in the lies, stop partaking in the sins and the abominations, turn to the Most High God. Okay? Turn to the Most High God. That's the only way you're going to be saved. But believe it or not, it is prophesied for these lands to be destroyed. And it's going to happen. No man can thwart, change, stop the will of the Most High God. It may not be in our lifetime, but it will happen. It will happen. Okay? But, brothers and sisters, it was a pleasure conversing with you. Unfortunately, we had no one call in. Unfortunately, we had no comments. Nobody asked any questions. But all praises to the Most High. When the viewers view the broadcast and they would have dropped a comment, I will be sure to answer. Okay? So I've taken 1 hour, 10 minutes of your time. And to that, I say shalom, Most High in Christ bless. You stay up, stay strong, stay in the spirit, and always watch the signs. Watch the signs and stop listening to the fake news. Go and listen to the international news where you can get the truth on time, realistically, without being sugar-coated. Okay? Shalom, Israel.